Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Francesa podcast on the Mike Francesa channel, on the Bet Rivers Network, on YouTube on this Tuesday night as the Pistons come into Madison Square Garden, where they were looking to celebrate tonight, where everybody was looking to have a good time and to close out a series and get on to the Boston Celtics. And instead, it is back to Detroit after a unimpressive 106-103 defeat. And now you look at this series in totality, the Knicks are extremely fortunate to be up in this series. We know the break they got, and the Knicks fans needed to be quiet about how, hey, there were a lot of fouls that weren't called. Nonsense. When you have a play at the end of the game, that's a deciding play, and that was an outrageously bad non-call. We know that. The league apologized. The league made it very clear right after the game that they missed the play. They knew they missed the play. Give them credit for not trying to do anything and cloud it or anything else. They admitted they missed the play. It was a bad one. It was one that clearly, there were heads rolling after that one, because that was one that had major repercussions. But the Pistons, they came back and toughed out a game tonight. All right. Do the Knicks again try to do it with too few players? Yes. Okay. That's who they are. Okay. We know who they are. Does Brunson have obviously problems? Yes. But he gets off plenty of shots. We know that. And then, late in the game, maybe there's an issue, or there was. Hey, he came back and was brilliant after leaving the floor in game 4. Today, that wasn't the case. I don't know why Tibbs didn't call a timeout and get the guys back in the game, but that's not where he lost the game. They lost this game from the get-go. They were listless. They did not have a lot of energy. They reverted to the things we don't like about them. This was standing around watching Brunson again. This was Towns, I guess, after the last game in his heroics, deciding, you know what, there's no 3 I can't take. And just launching shots when he should have gone and gotten inside, because he's playing against smaller people, especially when he's playing against Tobias Harris. Okay, if he can't take Tobias Harris to the rack, what's going on? But there were so many things that just annoyed you about this game. Perfect example, okay, about getting the ball, moving it. The only fast breaks they had was when Hart was a one-man fast break. And he was able to do that 3 or 4 times, maybe even 5 times during the game, because that's how he gets his points. Anunoby was shooting the ball well tonight. He touched the ball exactly twice in the second half, and one of them was just him coming up court and in desperation launching a 3 down 4 that went in. Okay, that was the second time he touched the ball on offense in the second half. They threw one pass to him. He touched the ball one time in the second half, and he made a 3. He had 11 shots at halftime. He had 2 shots in the second half, both made 3s. Never saw the ball come his way. They got Bridges the ball, when they were already in desperation mode. They have to do better in that regard. They have to move. They have to have ball movement and body movement. They're not doing that. They're standing around watching. And I just hate, the offense, Brunson, half the time, for him to be effective, he's got to go hit the floor. He hits the floor more than anybody I've ever seen. And that's where he gets to the foul line. If he didn't get to the foul line tonight, his night was another disaster. He was 4 for 16 from the floor with 4 turnovers. You're not going to win when your star player, when your MVP candidate goes 4 for 16 from the floor, and he's got the ball the entire game when he's in the game. They got 5 for 14 out of Towns, 4 for 16 out of Brunson. They didn't get the ball to Anunoby, which they should have. They got the ball to Bridges in the desperate times of the game instead of getting him the ball in good spots where he can be an effective scorer. Not waiting until the game is about to be lost and then say, Bridges, hit us some shots. They have got to do a better job of getting those guys active and feeling part of the offense. And they have got to be conscious of pushing the basketball because that's who they are. Scoring in transition, having those guys on the wings is the way to play their offense, and they don't get enough of that. Tonight, they got none of it. And that's why they wind up scoring as few points as they do and being as ineffective as they were tonight. Okay? Just all you got to do is just look at who gets the ball where, who touches the ball where the shots are coming from. The Knicks tonight just were lackluster. All right, both teams turned the ball over. Both teams looked bad at times. Defense did a good job at certain times in the game. Okay. Cunningham didn't have a great game. He didn't have a great game. He was 6 or 17 from the floor, but he wound up with 8 rebounds, 8 assists, got to the line, scored 11 or 12. He was 24, 8 and 8. You know what? If that's his bad game in the playoffs, you're going to live with it. The guy who was great for them tonight, 2 guys really helped them tonight a lot. Number 1, Thompson needs to make his free throws, but the defense he played and the fact that he goes 8 for 10 from the floor, scoring inside, getting 7 rebounds, getting to the line 12 times. I know he only made 6, but he gets 22 points and 7 rebounds and plays great defense. And Tobias Harris, they are leaning on this guy, and he has been much maligned in the playoffs before. He plays 43 minutes, 17 points, 8 rebounds, and is playing a center defensively. I mean, he's doing a heck of a job. Thurin's a pain in the neck. He gets his 9 points and his 14 rebounds, and he would have got more, but he was in foul trouble. Beasley didn't get off. Hardaway didn't get off. Those 2 were 3 for 14 from 3. They didn't get off. Okay, they didn't hurt you from 3 tonight, and they can. This team is gritty. They match up well with the Knicks. And the Knicks, they got by far the most active game in the playoffs from Robinson tonight. I mean, Robinson gave them, for him, a stellar game. First of all, he scored 13 points, which is, unheard of. And he had 11 rebounds in 22 minutes of play. They got very little otherwise. They're the lowest scoring bench in basketball. If you take out the Payne first game, their scoring off the bench is abysmal. And what this does more than anything else, does it put this series in doubt? Oh, would you be surprised now if this is a game 7? I wouldn't. I wouldn't be surprised if the Knicks won game 6, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Pistons won game 6. Plus the fact that they have to win game 6 if the Celtics, who I expect in the second half, I know they played a lackluster first half. They got a couple of injuries. They got a couple of guys hurting. Brown's on a bad knee. Holiday's out. Okay. So the Celtics are not at full blast right now. They're going to win that game tonight, I figure, and then they're going to get some rest. And the Knicks are going to have to play at least another game and maybe 2 more games. Game 6 is Thursday night in Detroit. If there's a game 7, it'll be back at the Garden on Saturday. I would think Saturday night. We don't know the time yet, but I would think Saturday night. You see this team you know it's going to lean on Towns for scoring. You know it is going to be centered offensively on Brunson. I understand that. You understand that. Everybody in the world understands that. But he has got to be conscious of making sure that his other guys who are capable of scoring big numbers don't feel like they aren't playing. You can't ignore OG for the entire second half. He was 2 for 2 from the floor in the second half. You can't ignore Bridges for long periods of the game and take bad shot after bad shot. I mean, 4 for 16 is brutal. And he got bailed out a couple of times. And if he doesn't get to the foul line, he's got no game tonight. 4 for 16 from the floor, 4 turnovers. I understand. I understand that he's hurting. I understand that. I I do understand he's on a bad ankle, okay? But you watched him do heroic things in the fourth quarter after limping into the locker room, so you don't know when he can play and when he can't play. Okay? So I can't judge that. If he's on the floor, he's on the floor. He was on the floor for 36 minutes. The bottom line is he didn't get the job done tonight. And more than that, I'm not being critical of not hitting his shots. What I'm being critical of is he has got to get the other guys in the offense, get them the ball where they can score it. The offense has got to have some flow to it. It has got to have some movement to it, ball movement and player movement. And there should be a cohesion because these guys are on the floor together. This 5-man unit is on the floor together more than any group in the entire league, both in terms of the entire game and in terms of the fourth quarter. They lead the league in most minutes as a group for the season and most minutes as a group in the fourth quarter. They should know each other's work and in each other's game like clockwork. There is no precision to this offense. Having Brunson either nail a shot or take a dive is not going to get you where you want to go. And to be fair, if you're being reasonable, you have to feel that their chances to win in the next round have been seriously negated by the fact that they couldn't put this team away. And let's be honest, this team has, if you go minute by minute in the series, this team has outplayed them in the series. They've outplayed them. They led after 3 quarters in the first game. They led after 3 quarters in the second game. They had an 11-point lead in the fourth game. They've outplayed them. And they go into the Garden tonight, and they've won their second game on the Garden floor. Getting beat 1 game on the Garden floor, fine. Getting beat 2 games on the Garden floor by the Pistons for a young team who have a couple of role players who have been to the playoffs before, but who have to really piecemeal together who's going to be that second scorer for them on a night-to-night basis. You know, Beasley hasn't killed the Knicks in this series. He really hasn't. They were very worried about Beasley. Cunningham's ability to get Beasley off in all these situations, and Beasley's gone into a 3-point shooting slump in this series. He did hit a couple in the second half of the last game. He hit 4 in the second half. He might have gotten 1 before the half, then 3 in the second half, but he got 4 in the last game after getting off to a horrific start. But he had gone through a slump of about, he was like 2 for 22, over a stretch of games from 3. Not what he had done during the regular season when he was, a 6 man of the year candidate. But they've gotten moments from Hardaway. They've gotten a lot from Harris. Thompson has given them a lot, and so is Duran. And they don't even have Stewart. If they had Stewart, they'd be even tougher. Bad loss. Bad loss going forward. Having to win this thing now in 7 games. I understand they can go back and win it in the 6th game. I wouldn't be surprised if they do win it in the 6th game. Like I said, I didn't think playing in Detroit would be a hassle for them. They obviously won both games there. If they went to Detroit and won, I wouldn't be shocked at all. But I also wouldn't be shocked if the Pistons find a way to send them back here for Game 7. Knicks will survive this series. I thought they'd win in 5. They sure had their chances. They didn't get it done. Do I think they'll win the series? Yes. Do I think this has completely diminished whatever chance you gave them in the next round? I think it has clearly hurt their chances. They have not gotten what they need to get from their bench, and clearly Brunson's far less than 100%. Only positive is Robinson was active and able to go out there and get a bunch of minutes. Him playing 22 minutes, being active on the boards like he was, doing the job he did tonight. You had to be positive with that. I mean, that's a positive. Okay, that's a positive. There are a few positives right now. Get Anunoby the ball. They got him the ball in the first quarter, then they ignore him the rest of the game. Get him the ball. Get Bridges the ball. Get them acclimated in the game. Townsend and Brunson are going to always get their shots in the fourth quarter. We know that. You don't have to get them off. They do have to get the other 2 guys because so many times they are not handling the ball. Okay? Those 2 are not bringing the ball up the floor. And a lot of times, all they do is just stand off in the corner and just do nothing. They did run some stuff for Bridges in the second half where he made some cuts and they found him. They ran nothing for Anunoby. They hit him for 1 open 3. He made it, and then he had 1 desperation 3, the only 2 times he touched the ball in the entire second half. After being highly efficient in the game. What we hated early in this series, and we saw an improvement in, we saw them revert to that this evening. And they can't win against this team playing that way. They can't shut the paint down when Towns is on the floor. Okay, they're getting hurt in there. They're getting hurt inside. They're getting hurt around the rim. How many cleanup shots? How many, flip passes for dunks, flip passes for layups, offensive rebound putbacks are the Pistons getting? Way too many. Not pretty. Not pretty. Tough loss. You have to close these series out. It's imperative. Indiana probably they probably figured after the last game Milwaukee wasn't going to give it an effort. Well, Milwaukee did give it an effort tonight. They came out and scored the first 11 points, led by 17 in the first quarter, and they pushed the game to overtime and then threw the game away. Right now, the Celtics in the second half, Celtics were down at the half. They now lead by 25 in the fourth quarter. So Celtics are now going to get to sit back and relax and wait, and that's a bad thing. That's what the Knicks needed to be able to do tonight. The Knicks needed to show you tonight, even if the first half was close, they need to give this team the back of their hand in the second half and say, you know what, kids, nice series. You know what, Cunningham, great start to your career in the postseason. You know what, way to go, guys. You guys really had a heck of a year. And pat them on the head and let them go on their way. Instead, now they think they can win this series. And why not? Clearly, if there was a foul called, most likely, and I don't listen, I can't say for sure that Hardaway was making both those free throws. But the worst you were looking at was overtime. You weren't going to miss both of them. I don't think. And the Knicks caught a huge, huge break. And it wasn't their first in the series either. Game 6 Thursday. Possibly Game 7 Saturday. Disappointing. All the way around. Extremely, extremely disappointing. Now to baseball for a minute. I saw the Mets had a big lead. I didn't see what their final score is, so let me look it up. I know the Yankees put on one of their shows. The Orioles lose more lopsided games this year. And that's how the Yankees win. You know, the Yankees have a bad day, then turn around and, you know, blow a game in the ninth, then turn around and hit 9,000 home runs. Mets had a rocking chair. Lindor, Alonso, and Ofa for Soto. You know, I know the Yankee fan is really gleeful about this Soto start, and I understand that. I do understand that. Nobody wants to be left behind. You know, nobody wants to be, you know, spurned, and they were. But, you know, right now, as long as he can find his way, everything else is working. They're winning. They are, you know, doing the things they need to do. They are drawing. Their attendance has been terrific. I don't know what it was, 35,000 tonight with the Knicks playing on an April night. That's a heck of a crowd against the Diamondbacks. For them, that's a heck of a crowd. You're going to see that every day. You're going to see 35 as their minimum. Their attendance has improved markedly. You hear, oh, so doesn't want to beat the guy. Don't make rash judgments after 100 at bats of what he is and what he isn't. Okay, he's got a track record. We know what he isn't. He's not a great base runner. He's not a great fielder. That's for sure. He hasn't had that same command. That's the word. I'll use two words that are lacking right now. The command and the swagger isn't there. So he's clearly uncomfortable in wanting to prove himself. I'm sure he wanted to get off to a fast start. He got off to a fast start in spring training. He wanted to get off to a fast start. He's very scientific about his approach to hitting. But the things I'm hearing are so over the top right now. Hey, it's not like he's, you know, going to get 50 RBIs this year. When we get to a point where that's the case, then we can discuss it. He hasn't had a hot streak. Am I surprised? I'm surprised he hasn't come out of it because if the team were losing, I would think that he'd really be pressing because he'd feel the obligation to really have to do something. But the team's been winning and winning big. So to me, I would think that would allow him to relax, but he has not had the command nor the swagger at the plate. We'll know it when we see it. We haven't seen it. And it was very impressive last year. The command he brought to the plate, the way he just completely controlled every single at bat was incredibly impressive. It's not there right now. So you want to say it's not there? It's not there. But don't draw conclusions after 100 at bats because you can look silly. You really can. It can turn around in 100 at bats. As for the Yankees, it's funny. I didn't expect this out of Rice. I'll be the first to admit it. I did expect it out of Grisham. If you listen to me, you know I wanted to play Grisham a lot last year. He kind of got lost in the shuffle. I like Grisham. Now, do I think Grisham's going to wind up hitting 35 home runs and have a 1,000 OPS? No, I don't. Okay, but he's had a hell of a start. To get 8 home runs out of him and 8 home runs out of Rice, 8 home runs out of Grisham and 64 at bats, and 8 home runs out of Rice and 80 something at bats. That's impressive, and it has allowed them to compensate for some of the guys who aren't hitting. The problem is they have a surplus at certain positions and they can't fill certain positions. It doesn't mix and match. The roster doesn't set up perfectly, especially when Stanton comes back. But for me, I know what they're going to be offensively. They're going to have their good days and their bad days. They're going to hit a lot of home runs. And they have the best hitter in baseball on their team. Their pitching is what worries me. Now, Fried's been brilliant, utterly brilliant. I'm not a Rodon fan. You know that. I don't know what the closer or the ex-closer, again, soon to be closer whenever they give him the job back. I don't know what he's going to accomplish this year. That I don't know. The pitching worries me. Some of the other parts of the team worry me. But again, they have some very strong strengths. They're a little top heavy. But if they get this from Grisham and they get this from Rice, it's really allowed them to compensate. And they have hit a ton of home runs, which shouldn't surprise you because that's kind of who they are. Is the Soto thing interesting? Yes. Do I think now? I've heard I hear bits and pieces when in the car or here or there, or you pick it up somewhere, or you see something on TV. Do I think now that automatically he wants to be back with the Yankees? No. He knew what he was doing when he took this contract. It wasn't a 1-year deal. He expects to be on this team for the rest of his life. Has he dug himself a little hole? Yes. Should he have not said what he said? Yes. It was a mistake. He didn't need to go public. All he needed to say was, "Hey, we're winning. Don't worry about me." He didn't do that. He made a mistake. And we've seen a lot of guys struggle in New York. Now, he didn't struggle last year, but remember, this is a whole different set of encyclopedias this year. It really is. But I understand that if you're a Yankee fan, you want to kick dirt on him and say, game, set, match. It's not game, set, match. Not after how many at bats? 90? 100? What do we got so far? Whatever it is. I'm trying to see the at bats come up. He's got 108. Are those numbers bad for him for 108 at bats? Yes. 108 at bats for him. Okay. Is 21 runs scored bad? No. 7 doubles bad? No. Not great, not bad. Are 3 homers bad? Yeah. A 12 RBIs are hideous. 22 walks. Well, if you notice, the walks have slowed down. And uh, when his OPS, when his on base percentage dips under 410, you got to scoop. Whenever it dips under 410, you got to scoop. And he's 370 right now. So he's really, for him, he is really not executing his, his on base percentage is down about 0.50 from where it should be. And his slugging is down about 200 points from where it should be. So he's really struggling. No question. Really struggling. And put the numbers aside. He doesn't have the swagger nor the command that you usually see. And everyone wants to make a big deal about the shuffle. Hey, you'll know. Do I think one at bat will cure it? I thought there was a point where one long home run would cure it. Now I don't think one home run will sell it. I think he needs a good week now. I think he needs, a couple of big hits, a game-winning hit, bring him from behind with a home run, with a 3-run jack, that kind of thing, and have a couple of, look like he's hot out. Have it get to the point where the pitchers are pitching around him. Then he's back. Right now, he's a long way from that. But it's a long season. It's not even May yet. It's a long. I know you're wishing and hoping, Yankee fans, but it's a long season. For the Knicks, not a long season anymore. 2 games. 2 games, and the Celtics will be waiting. And the Celtics score right now 103-78 with 5 minutes left. So they will be waiting as the Knicks get ready for Game 6. We'll see you later.